Everything starts with a question. Why? In the last video, we asked why issues were the way they were. The truth is that the state of matters doesn't bother us as long as everything works. When it becomes problematic, we start asking questions. Namely, it can be out of curiosity. Why? Or this sort of why resulting from heartbreak and for rhetorical purposes. Why? Asking is not stupid. Famous sayings tell us that those who ask can learn a lot, and that the most important is to know how to lay the questions correctly. For younger girls watching this, don't be afraid to ask, because as I said, asking is not stupid. Stupid is, for example, eating 10 cakes at once or not eating anything at all just to fit into some current standard of beauty, buying things because it's trendy and your friends have it, falling in love with K-pop idol. Yes, girls, I see you. I know everything. Open questions without an answer are the most important because they are the beginning of the journey of discovery. Hi, welcome to my channel. If you are here for the first time, my name is Helena, and I'm all about artificial intelligence in law, future changes in law, state administration, and society in the digital age. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider subscribing to my channel, liking this video, or leaving a comment in the comment section. What questions do we have in our topic? First question: why should anyone be concerned with distant and controversial issues such as general artificial intelligence or singularity? It is clear from what we know about the law that there is a need for some sort of general artificial intelligence to perform legal tasks by computers. General artificial intelligence could vary in definitions, but it commonly means artificial intelligence that can successfully perform any intellectual task that a human can. Unlike narrow artificial intelligence, it should move from task to task without specific training. However, this attempt is not as far from reality as it seemed a few years ago. was possible to hear in the media that various companies would announce a major breakthrough in the area soon. Obviously, this depends mainly on the definition of general artificial intelligence we adopt. From a first sketchy view, it is clear to anyone what approximate level we can expect to reach, and it is also clear that it won't be enough in order to count these attempts as reaching the general artificial intelligence level, according to everybody's opinion. In law, legal questions can be answered randomly. And yes, it can resemble the usual intelligence of an ordinary person. However, in this area, it is crucial to rely on the accuracy of the answer. Accuracy is highly important. Unlike drafting an essay, where basically everything is acceptable, in law we would like to have a valid answer which is correct. Even a creative field, such as art, is more generous in this regard. It is a matter of subjective taste. Basically anything is acceptable. Even though it is the creative field that is considered more difficult to replace. Otherwise, we can use the browser, throw a question into it, and always find something there. But that is not the type of intelligence we expect for law. It is probably also a bit about marketing and the wishes of the creators of new products who want to reach the general level of artificial intelligence, or at least be considered as the ones who did such. The singularity is much more fascinating, but also much more problematic and controversial. It is a hypothetical future point in time when technological growth becomes uncontrollable. Cycles of self-improvements could lead to the rapid increase of intelligence, creating a superintelligence far exceeding all human intelligence. Some believe it will happen, some don't. It cannot be proven or disproved. We also have the question of artificial intelligence becoming conscious. For me personally, the idea that artificial intelligence will achieve consciousness is already too esoteric. But I can easily imagine that it will be more intelligent than a person in the sense of concentrating a lot of information and the ability to work with it. Artificial intelligence will overcome human cognitive limitations. However, it already did. But what if the selective and imperfect way of human reasoning, along with forgetting, emotional influences, etc., is much more super intelligent than working with lots of information? The laws of nature, in fact, favor humans. Artificial intelligence is also very energetically demanding. For humans, their type of intelligence is useful and adaptive to life conditions. As an example, we can look at information that humans have about their bodies and health in the standard life process. Honestly, we don't know much and have no full-scale details about it. And we don't deal with issues extensively, but simply live our lives focusing on other areas and interests. My personal opinion is that it is moving in the same direction as information about society. We currently know much more about individual parts, entities involved, which are closer and more connected now, and how much it shakes the whole world. And we will one day also know a lot more about our own organisms, maybe even at the level of every single cell or beyond. That will also be the time when we finally overcome cancer, unless it happens in a different way earlier, simply by having information about what is happening in the body. As I said, at the moment, a human is not aware of many things and does not deal with them. In fact, ignorance, selective approach to information, and forgetting allows a person to live a normal, satisfactory human life. Humans do not constantly think about risks, present conditions, and their mortality. After having access to such detailed information once, we will have to learn to work with it and not panic and make quick superficial conclusions. Because the only difference will be that we will be aware of what is happening. Now, the same is ongoing, we just don't know about it. Many diseases will be identified at an early stage, which would go unnoticed today, and the organism itself is dealing with them. I think that despite all the efforts, there is going to be a transitional period here, and very confusing for people. Right now we have much more information about the state of our organism, and in my opinion, it is already a problem from this point of view. By this, I aim to point out that some super intelligent approaches are not really that beneficial and adaptive. That is not even intelligent in our conditions. If we accept the definition of intelligence as the ability to adapt, for example, just to mention. The problem of general artificial intelligence and singularity amaze people and arouse their curiosity, which is why it is a highly popular topic for the masses and is used as a subject for science fiction stories. Even if someone considers it rather such an entertaining theme and does not see it in near future as a realistic scenario, that does not mean that being concerned with these topics is not beneficial. Setting ideals, dealing with them, and thinking about distant goals is important. Although in the last video we suggested sobering up from the search for unattainable goals, this ipso iure does not mean that it is not good to know it, deal with it, and try to move towards the ideal in general. It was focused on people's effort to find a fantasy, an exhausting and obsessive focus on a person's characteristics and behavior instead of dealing with problems and topics in society. Of course, a high-quality individual can significantly move the whole society. But the problem is that all of this is too much unnecessary pressure and effort for others, but also for the protagonists themselves. And another problem is that the system does not generate the best naturally. It is not set this way. Thus, it is a burdensome an unpleasant process for all involved, and as I said, an ineffective and mostly unsatisfactory. The significance of dealing with questions of general artificial intelligence, singularity, etc. is similar to the point of establishing an ideal which we are approaching. On the way to such a distant and transcending idea, it is possible to acquire new knowledge that moves us closer to the target state. The journey itself is important, not the destination. New question. What is law? What is law? One imagines there is an easy answer to this question, and we can quickly move on. Well, this question is very argumentative and extensive, since there are different opinions about what law actually is. It is obvious that there are also different options for how the law could be automated. A legal robot can give us different answers if it generates only from a set of all written legal regulations on the one hand, or on the other hand, if it also considers principles or various norms from other normative systems to be law. It seems necessary to define the law. What is the law? And especially to enlighten which understanding of it enable its performance by a machine. We know that the law is a system of specific rules, and that the adoption of legal solution requires the application of different principles than in ordinary reasoning. However, we do not know exactly how it differs and what the essence of law is. We cannot even imagine how we would robotize it. Therefore, we must also deal with the essence and character of law and legal thinking here. New question. Why is the legal system created in its current form? We are working here with the assumption that the current arrangement of the system is outdated. It could result from human cognitive limits, like a simple fact that one cannot remember all the regulations. And in history, humans never imagined that it could change. In the beginning, the Code of Hammurabi and the Ten Commandments were written in one place and were carved in stone. It was possible because there were only a few regulations. The situation became complicated when regulation and people began to increase and the processes that had been regulated took on more complex and diverse forms. This resulted in a huge number of regulations and exceptions, etc., and it was necessary to organize them in such a way that a person could work with them and cover them. First of all, is necessary to answer the question: what is the purpose of the legal system? Secondly, why is the legal system created in the current way? After answering these questions, we conclude that the purpose of the legal system can be fulfilled in other ways, and that it will also be more effective in the present situation. And the legal system is not immutable. New question. What do we mean by term robotization of law? At this point, it is necessary to clarify what we understand as robotization of law. If we talk about the legal robot, it is rather a metaphor. Robots are mostly associated with the physical world. However, there are also robotic automated processes which involve the repetition of predetermined actions by a computer. It is obvious that the replacement of human activity by machines in law will also include this area. At the same time, process automation is the easiest to define and implement and has a very strong ethical and economic justification. Our term is a symbolic expression because here we also include activities that are not robotic in nature and aim to approach human intelligence. By the robotization of law, we also understand this automation of processes, but also the entire field of artificial intelligence, including machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing, etc. So when we talk about legal robots and robotization, we mean it rather figuratively. At the same time, however, it aptly points out that there are many activities and processes in this area that are simple and repetitive, and which are not yet automated. New question. Why should we change anything at all? Why should something like the law even be replaced by machines? Is there any relevant reason not to do it the old way? As we are aware, a machine can perform many activities of a physical nature for a person. For example, lifting loads, saving, sewing, making car parts, etc. Also, the machine, a computer, usually replaces a person in thought operation. For example, makes calculations, measurements, store large amount of data and searches in them. However, some ways of thinking seem so complicated that leaving their performance to machines does not seem feasible. We tend to think of them as an exclusive domain of humans. In other words, people think that in these areas humans are irreplaceable and see no reason to change it. The preparation for a profession in the population is also that way. Humans are educated to master collecting information and working with it in order to apply it correctly. This forms the basis of expertise in many sectors. For example, also in law. Lawyers are able to organize information in a way that allows them to figure out the legally correct conclusion. But the other question is, why should anybody live like a robot? And this is also part of the moral justification for introducing artificial intelligence into the law. But there are obvious other reasons, especially economic ones. The elementary reason why it should not remain the same is that even if it is not obvious, it is certainly unsustainable. Changes are taking place in all areas, and there is no reason why the law should be exempt from this. It is not possible to fence it for a long time. There are definitely areas protected from any changes in society, but there must be a reason for conservation. For example, historical exhibitions conserve the state because of great cultural value. In a certain way, law and established institutions also have such value. But then, doesn't it rather belong in a museum? Don't get me wrong, I understand the value of established long-term institutions, but I do not consider refusing inevitable change as a solution. It would be best to preserve the valuable part in some form, but also move forward. So, why robotize law? The necessity arises mainly from the current reality, as we said. Technologies are currently being developed affecting all areas of life. And also, as we said, no barrier would prevent the entry of these technologies into the field of law. Based on this, it can be assumed that the industry is undergoing digital disruption. Although this is not yet evident in all areas, it is possible to verify it economically and also with regard to the good of all humans, morally and ethically. The economic justification will be based on the fact that it brings a competitive advantage, mostly by cost savings. The use of technology can bring a competitive advantage for the user, for the company. This can have a character of a cost advantage. Using artificial intelligence in law brings cost savings and increase the amount of work performed and the advantage of differentiation, reducing work with lower qualifications and improving the quality of work. From the company point of view, there is a change in the structure of work, improvement of administrative processes, and release of the workforce for more sophisticated work. All people in the world are benefiting from the usage of current technological achievements. From the point of view of the good of a human, people can leave the mechanical type of work and can devote themselves to more creative activities, more sophisticated activities with higher added value. Their living conditions can improve, administrative obstacles can be removed. There are, of course, also disadvantages related to the use of artificial intelligence. Outdoors usually include the replacement of people's work and the need for retraining. But should humans cling on to a job for dear life that the machine can and even does better? Of course, retraining and changing the way of thinking is not an easy process. But the sooner the company starts, the sooner it can enjoy the benefits of the new situation.
New question. Why hasn't anyone robotized lawyers? This is a very important question.
Because the first thing that comes to mind is to take all the norms of the legal order, mathematically formulate them, add relations between them, and it is done. If it is so simple, why has no one done it yet? And the answer is that it is not so easy. Apart from the fact that it would be a time-consuming and resource-intensive process, the truth is that it is almost impossible to define legal terms definitively and in a closed manner. At this point, we come to the issue of concepts. Another problem is the need for translation from common to legal language. The other problem is that at a certain point, the law ceases to be so clear-cut. In legal theory, we know the division into easy and difficult cases, or we can talk about the interpretation of law, the balancing of principles, or the fact that the law does not always depend only on positive legal considerations. The second thing that comes to mind is to do it ChatGPT style. We already mentioned that there is a difference between law and essay. Even creative areas are easier to capture randomly this way. But with law, you have to be precise and accurate. So, new question. Is it possible to robotize law as a phenomenon? And how? And we have reached our fundamental question. We assume so, that it is possible, and we are looking for ways to do it. In these videos, we also deal with a new way of deciding on public issues that can capture people's decisions and find out their will. It allows us to express our will without representation. The easiest would be to perform it using questions, by answering questions, and the absolute simplest mode is to respond yes or no. In this case, we can see a new power. The power to create questions. Whoever has this power can create the boundaries of what is decided, as well as influence the result and the entire narrative. Someone can abuse the questions and use them to manipulate others. Basically, the way it is done now as well. But this is another topic. That is also why it is important for me to create a system that would be fair in this regard and enable a reasonable selection when creating questions, as well as a wide approach to question formulation. For example, we could connect all people and assign them to groups. Let's take a simple example. The country I live in has only 5 million inhabitants, so it is a simple example. You can easily imagine it. All citizens would be immediately and directly involved in the system. Based on their personal characteristic and professional characteristic would be automatically included in different groups. For example, me, I would be included in the group of parents automatically, in the group of lawyers and economists or managers based on my education and so on. These groups would deal with related issues. It is about the status that is known, like age, gender, as I told, education, job experience, etc. But it would be automatically. You don't need to apply anywhere. Of course, one could ask to be removed, as well as one could join any existing group as a person who is interested in the issues. People would be differentiated by status, that is, a member by interest would be differentiated from, for example, an expert with the relevant education, but anyone could propose a topic. There are going to be rules for generating questions. In general, in such a system, people tend to fear that the masses will overpower everything in voting for the simplest solution, leading to unreasonable actions. That's why, in addition to feedback, control and approval rules, it will also be necessary to link decision making with the consequences. Sometimes it is difficult to ask a question. Sometimes it is also difficult to answer, because by first formulating the question and then by answering, distortion, information noise happen. The words that were used can be interpreted differently by different people. Sometimes people deliberately do not answer the truth. Sometimes unintentionally. Sometimes they don't even really know what is being asked, what the consequences are, or they don't have a formed opinion. Another aspect is that sometimes asking a question only demonstrates an obvious fact. The question is asked only to confirm the fact. If we notice, for example, how YouTube, which we are on right now, works, we don't receive questionnaires with questions like, do you like watching videos? Yes or no? Do you like such and such content? Do you like such and such YouTuber? Yes or no? Because this is easy to derive from the existing facts. It is known and it is clear. Therefore, as it follows from all that was mentioned, in certain situations it is possible to view asking questions and giving answers as a bit artificial. The truth is that in many situations we are going to ask about something that already exists, is present, and forms the reality around us. Some matters may be an existing fact. The presumption of question and answer replicates consent and the social contract. Overall, this questioning and confirmation creates prerequisites for establishing the existence of a social contract. To close the topic in the meantime for now, we can see that the answers lie in questions. But what we have to be careful about is that there could be lies in questions and also in answers. Still, it is also true that questions are already laid and answers before us.